are people who pay taxes that live in the
Yes.
school district or library. So these people
Correct.
aren't paying those taxes, so there's a nominal
Yes.
fee for them in lieu of that.
Yeah, but we're looking at that whole issue and trying to come up with see if we need to revise the current policy to come up with a more fair solution. I mean, there's not a perfect solution.
This isn't anything that's unique to us, though, right?
No,
No.
it's a charter.
No.
This is a school district library.
But it's
That's how
part of our
founded.
mission statement.
Because it's
It's the
our
wording.
charter. I don't think that can change.
So,
But-
what do you mean by more fair? Because I believe,
Because we've made,
just
I
adjusted the, like, who can serve it
okay,
not too long ago.
yes, and our understanding is that it was changed. We're looking at that to see if that is the fairest way, and if there's possibly other ways that might be more fair. We're not saying we're definitely saying it's wrong the way it is, but we are looking at it.
Well, we can't change the charter of the library.
But it's not the charter, it's
So-
been changed in the past for people who work in the town of Guilderland regardless of their residency. It's been changed for active duty or veterans of the U.S. military.
So the policies have been changed.
The
right?
policies
Right.
have been
Okay.
changed.
So we have policies that offer a discounted rate to people in certain groups. And the
Yes.
question is essentially, A, are we even allowed to do that? And B, is the policy that we have written the actual policy we're following? Because we think there might have been a disconnect between what was currently written and what we're currently doing.
Okay.
And then C, if we are able to do this, do we want to additionally perhaps offer a discounted rate to residents of Guilderland who are not part of the Guilderland School District, and because of the way things are lined up, they're not automatically served by a library and have to pay, and do we want to offer them that discount as well? So I think those were the three things we were trying to tie together and figure out.
And Tim has gotten a lot of information, and
I do what I can, man.
we've gotten a lot of information from the school district, that should help us just look at this thing and decide what we want to do. But again, with the holidays, with Thanksgiving, with Christmas, with Hanukkah, with New Year's, I doubt if we're going to have it all done by the end of the year, but
Yeah,
it
there's no
shouldn't be
rush.
much
There's
longer.
no huge rush. Okay.
So.
Thank you, Barry. All right. Design steering.
I just have a
Okay.
question.
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Before we get too much into that, so you're saying the mission statement doesn't match the current policies?
We're looking into that.
Okay,
That's what we're concerned that it may not.
okay.
We're not saying it doesn't.
So we may have to change the mission statement, but if there's any sort of policy that has to get kicked to the policy committee.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
And that's like I said earlier.
I'm getting it now.
That,
So-
I said earlier that there was a couple of possible changes that we were two proposed changes right to the initial mission statement that we're going to be submitting to the policy committee.
Right, and specifically, the mission statement is very tight and doesn't
Yeah.
conflict with this at all. It's the first page of the long-range plan also contains a definition of what our community is and the purpose of the plan. It's within that
Okay.
definition of community that this all kind of came up.
Got it.
No, we're not just making changes and then
No,
there's.
I'm not, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
kind
no.
of piece it all
We're
together.
planning on passing a bunch
Yeah,
of stuff to the
separately, we
policy
wanna-
committee.
Well, we do have the town of Guilderland as the place where people work, like they work in the town of Guilderland, as opposed to within the school district area. So that's kind of an interesting way of doing it, because if someone lives in one of the areas that's not within the school district, but is in the town of Guilderland, they work like at their house. We've kind of talked about this,
Yeah.
that this could result in kind of a inequity between people who live in the exact same neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we're trying not to, for PR purposes as well as support, we're just trying not to have it so that people who live in the town feel they're being discriminated against and that things are very unfair to them. Again, we're not saying it is, we're just trying to get as much information and to look at it and to, trying to reason it out.
I'm just trying to distinguish what
Yeah.
is within the purview of the long-range plan and the policy committee and separate what
Yeah.
needs to be handled by which
Yeah.
group.
So I
Yeah,
think
but-
specifically for policy, we're looking over the mission statement, and that's kind
Okay.
of separate. But
Yeah.
the long-range plan goes into that, and, you know, the discounts, it specifically mentions and what our coverage area is. And ultimately, we want to understand, you know, with our bylaws and everything else, are we allowed to offer these discounts? I don't know I don't recall where the $50 comes from or the discount comes from, you know, are we allowed to, and if we are,
That's what I'm wondering, is
Yeah,
that a policy?
yeah. I mean, I've been to your long-range planning. It seems like you guys may have taken a bit of a detour. So, as best you can, you might want to get back on long. It's not to say you can't, help look at this
Yeah.
later, but it seems like this is kind of policy that we address every couple of years, and you guys may have.
which
But
is
since
why it
it's
was
since it's
discussed in
in the
Burlington.
long-range plan, we,
Well, it's in, you know what, it's in the last long-range plan, but it doesn't have to be in the next one. So-
and that might be a solution too. That, rather than try to come up with changes to the current wording, we may just recommend deleting the entire thing.
Right.
But again, we're trying to, get that information and stuff, but.
And in the larger sense, for me, it is an issue the library should address through whatever committee or full board, because it really does matter to a significant number of people who live in the town of Guilderland. I think it's 450 addresses, if I'm not mistaken.
It might
So-
not even be an issue if people, people get library cards from their libraries that cover them because they can use them at Guilderland anyway.
So,
There are
so the point
people-
is, they
yeah.
don't have libraries that cover them. You can live in a spot in Guilderland that's not in the Guilderland School District, maybe it's in the Colony School District. And the library in Colony is a town library, not a district library, so they don't cover them either.
Yeah, there are a couple
Yeah.
of people over on, was it Kings Road
Yeah.
that this falls under.
Yeah.
They have no library to go to, because actually I think they're in Mohonasen School District. So yeah, they're in kind of a really tough
Library
spot.
limbo?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what they're in.
Although-
They have no library that they can go to.
And
For what it's
people
worth,
near
the fee
country club
at
or
full
the
price
village
is less than the
uses
taxes.
library.
So,
That seems fair.
All right. So
Yeah.
all right.
To those. being
Continue.
paid.
I would just caution. Don't get too far out of your purview, but
Correct.
continue on. Thank you.
Okay.
Design steering. Any other questions? Okay. Design steering.
Okay, the Design Steering Committee met last night at 4:30, and the kind of major thing before the committee right now is that we're trying to finalize a contract for construction management services between the library and Turner Engineering. And that contract was received about 10, 12 days ago by me, and I sent it on immediately to Chris Lanchanton at Durbin and Ferlazzo, and Chris Broussard at the Tenite Group, which it seems are my general marching orders for contracts, and I'm happy to do that. We have a conference call with Patrick Fitzgerald, who's the lawyer at Durbin and Ferlazzo, scheduled for this coming Tuesday afternoon to get his take on the legal side of the contract. If I remember correctly, the insurance side is essentially reviewed pending a couple of comments that he had that were more for the lawyer to look at rather than for the insurance person to look at. So we hope to get that contract in place, and then we have another conference call scheduled on December 17th with Paul Mays, the architect. And by the way, you should all know that Paul is the main architect on our project and the kind of the vision person for our project, but the working architect on our project is Megan Brennan. And so Paul and Megan were both at the meeting the other day. But on the 17th of December, we have a conference call with Turner, with Paul Mays' firm, probably both Paul and Megan, and representatives from the library. And of course, we can hopefully get a board member or two. I'm not sure. That conference call is at 11 in the morning. So, there may be some people that are able to join us, and there may not, depending on work schedules and so forth. But
Now, is that something you would like to pursue in the future, having board members on the conference call?
Sure. Yeah, I think, I think honestly that this process is one that frankly requires the involvement of board members. I don't know that I have the legal authority to I mean, I have a sense of what decisions to bring to you guys and what decisions not to bring to you guys, but we're going to need to refine that continually. With all due respect to you guys, I'll say first about me and my team, we haven't built a building before, and many of you probably haven't built a building before. So, oh, Doyle's here. Okay, so I better go talk to
Okay,
Doyle Security.
I
So-
can kind of take out the
Okay.
last part of design steering, because I went to the committee. So, from what I could tell, design steering committee now is going to be kind of refining the ideas going forward. So, you know, is this wall going to be here? Is there going to be 6 inches here? So, you know, we have the general idea, but now they're kind of really tweaking the individual things. There's going to be a window. Is it going to be 6 inches this way or this way? So, having gone to the meeting, it's become very apparent to me that we really need to have board members there. So, everyone on the design steering committee, after the meeting, I'm going to get together with Tim. We're going to sit down and we're going to figure out when's the best time to meet with these guys. Like, is it 5:30? Is it 6? Because we really got to have board members at this meeting, or else I guess I'm a little concerned that we won't have the input on kind of the tweaks to the library that is necessary. So that's all I'd like to do after the meeting. Just a quick second for those on the committee. And then I think that's about everything. So then we'll move to finance.
We did not meet.
Can I just interrupt you for one
Yes.
second? Miss Megan, she's part of Paul Mace's
Yeah,
architectural
yeah,
firm, right?
yeah. Yeah, I think she, from what I could tell, she seems like the one who's actually going into the computer and moving, you know, the wall here, here. So, so Paul's, so yeah, that's from what I could tell. She's kind of in that process. So, any other questions? Oh, and Jason is now the chair. That we'll officially make that down in new business, but I asked Jason to be the chair of the committee of building and grounds, or not building and grounds, of design steering.
You can
and
take building and grounds too.
No. So thank you, Jason. We'll work together to kind of make sure that we can get people to that meeting. So thank you.
He doesn't need a vote or anything, right? This is like, we just needed to say it publicly.
The committee appointments.
Yeah.
Well, I think it needs a vote because I'm also pointing Mark to some stuff too.
Oh.
So, but yeah, that's down a little bit. So, okay. Any other questions? Finance.
Finance dot meet, audit did, we approved the audit, you guys all approved it tonight, so good work, we're done.
Don't forget your next meeting, copying fines, or copying
Yeah,
costs. So
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
you know, that's just on your docket.
That's a thing for, yeah, it's policy and finance kinda, I think we're just looking at it together.
Yeah, just I just didn't want to get bumped, you know,
Yeah,
forgotten
yeah.
about. So
We wanna get the audit out of the way.
totally understood and well done. Personnel.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes.
Huge thank you to
Phenomenal
Carol.
Yeah, as the first time I recall, in the entire time I've been here, we've had an audit where there's no like sort of deficiencies or notes. So that's really very amazing. So well done. All right, personnel.
Nothing to report after, I think it was just 2 meetings, the union decided to go to mediation.
Okay.
And we tried to set up some dates, but I haven't heard yet.
For those of us who are not familiar, can you kind of bring? I don't think we talked about the process. Can you kind of bring us through where we're gonna? What's the process gonna look like going forward?
Okay, normally when you undergo contract negotiations, there's usually a give and take, a swapping of, you know, what we'd like to accomplish in the contract, what the union would like to accomplish. And we did that at the first meeting. At the second meeting, you know, we made some adjustments to our offer. And we're anticipating another meeting with more of the back and forth. And we were notified that they chose to go to mediation, so that we now have an arbiter who will come in, and there's nothing that is required. The purpose is, I guess, to have a fresh outside, you know, take a look, compare, you know, both sides' offer, and make a recommendation. Neither side has to accept it. And then, you know, you just proceed from there.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Thank you. Policy, which I guess. I'm sorry.
When did the contract expire? Was it March?
Let's say June
June.
June 31st.
June 30th?
June 30th.
Okay, thanks.
So policy, who Myrene's not here, so I will, I guess, was anyone from the policy?
Yeah,
You wanna
you can do
just?
it. So we talked about the no smoking policy, which we've got attached here as well with changes. Firstly, we're updating it to a no smoking / vaping policy. It originally read smoking, use of e-cigarettes, and vaping. Really, e-cigarettes and vaping are the same thing, just two different terms for it that are pretty common. So we're looking at smoking and use of e-cigarettes / vaping are not permitted anywhere within 100 feet of GPL or its properties, because the new law says 100 feet of the property. And then we changed the way we worded the last section. Anyone found in violation of this policy will be asked to extinguish all smoking materials or to leave the property. Failure to comply may result in library contacting law enforcement.
It's pretty straightforward. So by our bylaws, this was presented, I guess technically you meet them a couple days ago, but it meets 30 days. So this will be approved at our next meeting.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Adding within 100 feet, and believe me, I'm as anti-smoking of any kind as anyone in the world, but doesn't that bring us onto
Yep.
Our Lady of Mercy?
It does.
That makes
their
it where
property?
technically we could stand at the edge of our property and point 100 feet in any direction. If we see anyone there smoking, they're in violation, and the library is liable for it.
So
I
if
believe
they're
there
on
are
Our Lady of
fines.
Mercy property, we can
Inside,
tell them not to smoke?
from what I understand, inside the building, inside their own cars, anything like that, there's nothing we can do about it, but stepping outside of their building and walking to their car, nobody should be smoking. We are not responsible for walking around, finding people that are smoking, and chasing after them and calling the cops. This is the policy. This is what we're supposed to put out there legally, and it's a very obscure.
New York State law.
The people that actually, I think it's a bunch of accountants that are responsible for enforcing it, so I think technically we're supposed to call them. I don't recall the exact.
Yeah, it's like
Department.
not the police. It's like the health department is who the authorities are on this one. And we don't have any control over that line in this policy whatsoever. Have to adopt it.
So where it says that anyone found in violation of the policy will be asked to leave the property, we can tell them to leave Our Lady of Mercy property? That doesn't seem logical to me, but.
Well, we'll be asked to extinguish all materials. So we'll do that first.
Or to leave the property.
But I don't think anyone's gonna walk out of the library, go over to Our Lady of Mercy.
Okay.
And I'm pretty
And
sure
do
that
that.
Our Lady Mercy, which
They also
is
have
part
the
of
policy.
St. Peter's Healthcare, has a
Yeah.
policy also establishing the same thing.
Okay.
Right.
So if we did need to communicate with them and say, hey, look, at this is our policy,
Yeah,
what can we do to work
Okay.
together, I think would probably be.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is just bringing the policy, just cleaning up some language and bringing it up to date
Yeah.
with what we're legally supposed to be doing right now.
Sounds good.
And we do have some signs posted as well. I don't know if you've seen them out there, but they're the lawn signs stating the policy.
Maybe Tim could talk with the director of Our Lady Mercy Life Center, just
That's-
explain our situation.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
He's already done
Does
that.
he do that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good.
All right.
When the
So-
law was updated, he informed that we'd be getting new signs and da-da-da-da.
Good.
So next is Skype. I guess there was a question.
Well, we had a couple other things I need to just go through super quick just to get it there, but we talked about rules of public behavior. There was some conversations in the library about what the rules are that are there and how they're being enforced, so we're looking through that to determine what updates we might want to make to that. We're also going to go through the oldest policies and try to focus on those to get those updated, since there's some that haven't been updated in quite a long time. And at the same time, we're going to pull in the smallest policies, things that are that tiny, so we can try and update a whole batch of things and maybe get the whole list updated over the course of the next year. And there was also the big discussion about the conflict of interest policy and the code of ethics policy and how they relate to each other, and changes that we may be looking to make into that.
So I emailed the policy, and we'll just discuss. We can
Yeah.
just figure that out in policy.
And you were gonna talk to Jim Burke about?
I did. Yep. So I already had the discussion. If you want to, I'll discuss it in
Yeah.
policy, but I'm not going to bog us down here with it.
That's fine.
Um,
The other thing was the Skype thing.
Skype. So actually, you're doing a great job. Go
All
ahead.
right. So apparently there's been something that's been requested at some point, the idea of being able to Skype into one of these board meetings or something along those lines, if you're not able to physically be there. So I don't recall how long ago it was asked for or by who, but it was brought up in the meeting and we had a brief discussion about it. One of the concerns being that, for example, you're in the Bahamas. Technically, if you're attending the board meeting from the Bahamas, you have to post publicly where you're at. It's a place that anybody in the public should be able to go to view the board meeting. So I think, and that's aside from any complexities about how many laptops do we have to have set up in the room for e-presence, for how many members that would be allowed to do it. So I think there's privacy concerns, there's complexities about it. I think it comes down to maybe we need to decide if this is really something we even want to pursue or if we just want to take this off the list.
So, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, is this something we want the policy committee to look into, or are we just would rather move on? I think, Barbara, you're always supportive of it, so let's hear your thoughts.
It has worked fine for the school board and multiple boards throughout the entire state. And the concern of being in the Bahamas or someplace else, as long as it's posted.
And if you don't want somebody to know where you're at, you just don't attend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but you're ultimately saying, I'm not home, I'm on vacation right now, when you're saying I'm in the Bahamas attending this
But
meeting,
you've
which
made that
is.
choice to participate in the meeting.
And then,
True.
did we find out, Brian, if there has to be a physical quorum? If you are part of the quorum, does your
This is
vote
all stuff that
count?
if
Yeah,
we
the
wanna look
policy
into,
committee would look into.
yeah.
So is that something the board wants the policy committee to look into? And then, if so, we'd find that out, and then the next meeting, probably going forward, we'd discuss, if that is the case, the nuances of, how many people can Skype, what the situation is gonna be for deciding which board members can Skype in when, so that it's fair, so there's not one person who's never attending meetings and everyone else has to be here. So there's a lot to dig into. If you want us-
Theoretically, it can have Brian here with 10 laptops.
Let's be honest, it would be Jenna here with 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
11 laptops.
Well, I know that one issue that happens at the school board meetings, that people have said that because they're live broadcasts, that the sound is really affected by all this Skyping. Like it really, it deteriorates the quality of the sound of the meeting quite a bit. So, I know you probably don't like to hear that, but, because you Skype a lot, but, it's
So-
it's a problem. I don't know if it would be a problem for like a meeting, like our meeting, but that's just something that has been noted.
So, does anyone have any thoughts? I mean, I have no problem pushing it on the policy committee if we want to do it, but I hate to make them do more work if we're just gonna come back and say, we don't really want this, so.
I just said one more thing.
Yes, of course.
When you talk to people who have done this in other boards throughout the state, rarely do you have more than one or two people, doing it. Some people want to go on vacation, they just want to be on vacation. And some diehards still want to, be able to hear what's happening and contribute, so.
I mean, if I was on
I don't
vacation,
think
I
you'd
would
ever
not be
have-
Skyping in, so
Right,
I'm one of
right,
those people,
right.
even if we
But
did this policy.
You'd never have 10 people trying to Skype in. I mean, that's just.
Well, I guess the fear maybe would be that you wouldn't be on vacation. You'd be at your house and, it's cold out. Why do I have to go in? Jenna can just set up the
The
computer.
other places where
I'm in
that has
favor
come in
of
handy, people who
getting
have
rid of
had,
Skyping, but.
Okay.
people who have had surgery and can't get out of the house, but still are physically, mentally, perfectly capable of participating. That's another situation where it's been helpful. And it's not a permanent situation, but, if you just had surgery and, you're still ready to go, then it's been very helpful for a lot of boards. Particularly when you're looking for forums and things like that, but.
That's a
So
good
anyone's
point.
thoughts? Sold on Barbara's argument?
Oh, I think it would be a benefit to have, to be able to use if we need to use it. I do a lot of Skype meetings too, so I'm in favor.
Any other
There's a
thoughts?
question of, can the person Skyping vote at the meeting since they're not?
It would all be
present?
that'd be all looked at the policy committee.
All right, policy committee, I guess we'll
Yeah.
look into it.
All right.
Two people's enough. Yeah. All right. Take a peek and see what you guys come up with. Thank you. All right, Herb. UHLS.
Okay, I didn't see in the minutes, where the ULON agreement was passed at the last meeting. Was there a vote on that? Because I think we have to.
I think so.
take
I mean, it would be in the minutes, right? Like, so if it's not in the minutes,
Then we don't accept them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I guess I don't, it's been a month, so I forget, but.
Yeah. Because Tim is familiar with the ULON agreement and everything.
Well, let's discuss it with him after the meeting, and if it has to be put on the next agenda, it will be.
Okay, because
Yeah,
just about everybody else has passed it except the City of Albany Library Board, which is concerned with privacy matters. Because I don't know if we want to, if everybody's seen the ULON agreement or whether, copies should be made.
For those who are new, the ULON agreement is our agreement with Upper Hudson, so, which I guess we have to approve, what, like every 3 years, I think?
Well, every year, well, it has been every year since I've been there, but this is a 3-year agreement, but it's going to be revisited in 1 year due to concerns for the East Greenbush Library, because it says a term of agreement shall be up to 3 years, but not exceeding beyond December 31st, 2022, and it can be terminated by either party within 180 days of written notice. Because what it is it maintains a comprehensive suite of services to support Upper Hudson Library System member libraries and providing library services for the community. And so the member libraries pay the Upper Hudson Library System a fee to help support all these services that are given, and the purpose is to generally outline the scope of services provided by the Upper Hudson Library System to the libraries, in addition to the structure of the fees and responsibilities of the parties. I won't go into, the nitty-gritty of the
Yeah, for sure we did not adopt something like that.
the agreement, but there was a letter from East Greenbush about that, because what it was calculated is that the fees would go up 2% a year, and they tried to make something fair, and they figured that might be the fairest way to do it. The board of the Upper Hudson Library System discussed several different things at previous meetings, and this is fairer to some libraries than others, because it depends on the formula is determined by local support, circulation fee, and adjustments. And there are people from other areas or other libraries that use the larger libraries as points where they drop off their books and stuff. And that costs the larger libraries, in this case, more money, because the fees are higher for that based on the formulas. So East Greenbush was very concerned because North Greenbush and various places, people from those libraries drop all sorts of things off at East Greenbush. So they are we're really concerned about that, but they did sign on to it because it would be looked at within the next year to see if something more equitable could be done. So the only library that I knew of who has not signed on to it is the City of Albany Library, because they had other concerns. But this is something that I guess that Tim would have signed.
Well, let's me, you, and him talk.
Yeah,
figure out what we have to do.
because this is something that has to be signed, so I assume that he has signed it whether he brought it up at the meeting,
I honestly can't
at the
remember.
meeting or not.
But it doesn't need our approval, it just needs the director's signature, you're saying?
Usually the library boards review it and pass it.
Alright, so
But,
we'll talk
you
to
know,
him about it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what, you know, if anything was done at the last meeting, because the last meeting is where it might have come up. They have a new contract delivery service, which I think was mentioned at the last
Yep.
meeting by Tim. And construction aids policies were updated, as well as the central library budget. And the Fine Free program is talked about on, they haven't, actually, there was a meeting scheduled for today at 6 p.m. this evening
I know,
on
I
the
actually,
Fine
there was
Free
a
program.
point I was contemplating trying to move our meeting to that building so we could go to that, and then also go to our own, this meeting, but, it was advised not
The
to
word
do that.
worked out good today.
Yeah, actually, ironically.
Well, the
Yeah.
NYLA conference was held last week,
Mhm.
and I don't know exactly what happened there, because it was at the day of the Upper Hudson Library meeting was the day of the start of the NYLA conference, and nothing had really been done at that point. And, let's see, that's pretty much it. There was a discussion of the various programs that the Upper Hudson library system is involved in, and, you know, it's all very technical, and that's
Good, thank you very
pretty
much,
much
Eric.
what happens
So yeah,
there.
don't forget that me, you, and Tim got to talk about the agreement, so we'll figure that out. Foundation, I'm guessing Tim probably didn't even go to the foundation meeting because this alarm keeps going off.
No,
So,
they
It
just
also-
started.
Oh,
I
okay.
saw them in there,
Yeah.
but.
They did leave at the second alarm, they just took off.
they won't have a ton going on right now because their gala finished, which I think was fairly successful. So, director and staff report. Tim's not here, so let's skip that.
Can I just ask you one question? Or-
Yeah, of course.
Or
Yep,
John,
yep.
maybe? It says that you taped the diversity training. Is it on a disc, or could we like borrow it so that we could see it?
Oh, sure, yeah, we do have it in archives, so we can get that to you, sure.
Good,
Yep.
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, John from IT department did record that, so,
Great.
okay, you would like to, have that emailed to you, or just have it available? He's got it on our website, I believe, so, I'll find out
On the
more about it.
website?
I think it is, yeah, I'll find
So
out
we
more.
could just play it off the website?
I think so, yeah, I'll find out more about where he
Okay,
has it,
that'd be great.
whether he has it on.
Yeah, but if it's on a disc, then I'll just pick
Yeah.
up the disc.
I thought
Time's
so.
impeccable.
Thank you.
We are now all set on the fire alarm. So,
Hey, all right.
Just,
We just got to the director and staff report.
Director and staff report, I got it right here. As I'm finding it, I'll just say that, first of all, thanks to Barry Nelson. It's great to have a fireman in the building when you have a fire alarm. But then secondly, that had we not engaged Doyle to come in on their emergency service, we would have had to have someone in the building 24 hours a day until they came on their non-emergency service, which was December 19th. So, but anyway.
And for a building this size, you'd want more than one person.
Yep.
Good.
Yep. So just a few things to highlight. I always, write a report, and then I think I read everyone else's report after that. And honestly, the exciting stuff that happens here often doesn't involve me, so that I take stuff from other people's reports. We are very glad to have one of our staff members, Sandy Tabor, back from extended illness. And our other librarians in the department, the programming department, did a great job covering for her over the about 3 to 4 months, I think, that she was away getting treatment. So if you see Sandy, welcome her back. Kudos to Margaret and Carol, who just completed the open enrollment period for healthcare with the employees. We also had a department head retreat. I failed to write down the 3 subjects that we talked about, but I can remember that 2 of them are, well, I can remember all 3. Improved communication, talking about leadership in general, and reflecting on the long-range plan in order to give feedback to the committee from the department head perspective. You can see in Luann's report, first of all, Luann continued great job, but you can see in her report that we are in 3rd place in the Capital Region for social media impact of our social media accounts after Albany and Schenectady, both much larger libraries, and ahead of Bethlehem and Colony, which are more peer-sized. So good work there. The digital sign, we are working with Town Supervisor Peter Barber, who has fielded some complaints about the brightness of the digital sign. So we're working on ways to tamp that down, and you know, obviously to the point where it's still readable, but less distracting to people. And so far, the most promising of the 3 or 4 ways that we can work on that is to actually change the background colors to more neutral colors. I don't know if you've ever, especially recently, driven by and seen a sign with a white background out here, but we've decided to stop using the white because it's just too bright. Let's see. Checking through Phil Berardi's report, always in the top 5 items circulating are the Wi-Fi hotspots and the folding tables. So just keep in mind that a library is not what it was when we were all growing up. It's full of stuff that you can circulate. We have, Jenna is one of them, Jenna and Christina Ronald, 2 functioning notary publics. We thank Jenna for going to the training and learning all about that. And we have 4 more employees studying to become notary publics. We do not charge for notary services. We are investigating right now with the Tenite Group whether we need to buy errors and omissions insurance to cover the library in the event that the notary publics get something wrong.
Do you buy their stamps too?
We do buy their stamps and such, and we paid for their training. Although some of it came, some of the training came for free through the Upper Hudson Library System. So basically we trained, we had Jenna and Christina get trained, and then Upper Hudson decided to offer training. So we had 4 more staff members join at that point. We had great success, as you'll see in some of the reports, with Halloween programming, including 180 kids for Halloween story time. You'll remember numbers like that that are perhaps the reason we won the referendum. 180 is pretty tight for the Helderberg room over there. Fire code is 212. Fire on my mind, I guess. But Elizabeth Smith and Amy McCarthy were the 2 librarians who did that. And then lastly, I just want to show you a new addition to the library collection. This is a new device called a Wonder Book. So it's a book, and you can also just press a button and the book will be read to you. And it is the newest generation of replacing sort of there are kids' books that combine a CD and a book, and that's a little more cumbersome. These actually,
what is that called?
It's called a Wonder Book, yeah, and it's very good for kids and grandkids, but it's good for kids who might be temporarily in a situation where they can't have a ton of attention paid to them. Like there's 4 kids in the house, so park one of these kids with a Wonder Book. It's also very good for kids who are learning English as a second language. So we bought about 40 of these the other day. They went online, I think, Tuesday, and I just thought it would be fun to show you guys the latest. So
It's
that is
pre-recorded, I assume, right?
It is pre-recorded, yeah.
My parents had gotten one for my kids years back where you actually can record it. So they recorded
cool.
themselves alternating reading pages of the book
Cool.
for the kids.
That's neat.
Interesting.
Well, we'll
God
have to
forbid.
see about those, you know.
Oh, I don't know if that's the best idea to leave lying around.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to wipe it, of course, each time, because somebody could put all kinds of, these have to be charged, so we do that at the circulation desk. So some of the Library of Things that we circulate are a little more complicated than the old style of just, you know, stamping the book and here you go. So,
And can those be checked out?
yeah, yep. absolutely. Would you like to check this one?
No, I
So-
was just wondering, does the charger go with it?
No, we just charge them here, so, and I haven't looked at the charging connection. I suppose a person could probably charge it at home, but,
Standard USB
yeah, it is a
or
standard,
something.
yep, so, yeah. So, I guess you can charge it at home as well, so. But we don't remember the old "Be Kind, Rewind" sticker?
Yeah.
We don't have, we don't have the equivalent expectation.
That brings it back a bit.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
Alright, any
that's my
questions for
report.
Tim? Barry?
Yeah, on the maintenance report,
Okay,
the sixth bullet, I'm assuming that word should be heat pumps.
that is correct.
Okay.
That was an unfortunate typo.
And I'm not about to say it, so, but as long as that is the correct, and that will get corrected, so
Yes.
I'm happy then.
Did you sign the Elon agreement?
I frankly cannot recall. I believe I did. I don't know if anyone else.
Because I don't think the board has voted on it.
Well,
So
then,
that's something we have to do at the next meeting then, I guess.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, put it on the agenda.
So I have the agreement with me if, you need to make copies.
Well, I believe Tim was probably going to send it out, isn't he? Tim Burke. So,
Let's
I
talk
thought it
about,
went
let's
to
talk
the
about it
lawyers.
after the meeting.
Yeah, okay.
okay.
All right,
I
next.
will
Sorry, go ahead.
make a motion to accept the directors and staff reports for October
Second by
2019.
Phil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimously approved. Next, we're on to old business, the RFID contract. You have a resolution.
I do.
It's also in your packet.
The purpose of this resolution is that
Or, I'm sorry.
you may recall that last meeting, you passed a resolution saying, authorizing the library to enter into a contract for RFID with Biblioteca, and subject to the review of the lawyer and the insurance person. Those reviews took place. They were very useful. Just to give one example, the lawyer said that Biblioteca is in Minnesota, and the contract said that any contract disputes would be resolved according to the laws of the state of Minnesota, so we got that changed to the state of New York. So having lawyers and insurance people review these things is a great idea. So I did sign the contract. The equipment will be here on December 1st. The reason you have a resolution in front of you is that I slightly misspoke last board meeting. The contract that I signed was not with Biblioteca, but with Hitachi. And it's for Biblioteca equipment, but the financing is done by Hitachi. So it's a little bit like buying a car from Fusillo and going to CEFCU for the loan. So thank you for authorizing us to sign the contract, but since strictly speaking, you authorized us to sign a contract with Biblioteca, and we signed a contract with Hitachi, Chris Lanchanton wrote a resolution to essentially correct the mistake that I made last time, and that's in your packet. So,
Move the resolution by Barbara, seconded by Bear. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, adopted unanimously.
okay, snow plowing contract,
Yeah.
assuming I may. So for the fourth year in a row, we have signed a contract with Erno Enterprises to take care of our snow plowing needs. We had to do this relatively quickly because, as you know, there were two plowing events within the last 7 or 8 days, and winter has started a little bit early. Anticipating that you would want us to have that contract reviewed by the lawyer and the insurance person, we went ahead and did that. And our insurance broker recommended that there be additional coverages in the contract. And those coverages cost a pass-through cost of an extra $500. So instead of a $4,200 contract, we had a $4,700 contract. The contractor himself did not think much of the insurance recommendation and pointed out that lots of larger companies, including Our Lady of Mercy across the street, which has people using walkers and wheelchairs and so forth, does not have coverage that extensive. But I needed to get snow plowing in place because winter was here, and so I just went back to the vendor, the insurance broker, and said, here are the objections being raised by the contractor. he's certainly willing to add these coverages. It's gonna cost us $500. Are you sure that you're recommending this? You know, I got public money here. I don't wanna spend $500 if I don't have to, and our insurance broker said it would be a good idea to add these coverages. So we've got some pretty major coverage for any accidents that take place in the parking lot related to snow plowing.
Question.
Yeah, and that contract's in your packet too.
Yeah. The very first item in the contract, in the agreement, we are the customer, the contractor is contractor, and it says customer agrees to perform such services. Shouldn't that be the contractor?
Well, I'll check. So,
Is it talking about the clearing the snow
yeah,
and all that?
okay.
I
So
mean,
it's,
basically,
Yeah.
we're saying we're the ones who are
We're
gonna do
paying it
it.
ourselves. Nice catch, yeah.
Yeah.
Giving us all shovels.
I see customer agrees to hire contractor to clear.
Next
snow.
line, number
We're
one,
right
customer agrees
next
to
to
perform
number
such
one.
services.
Okay. that's a-
Customer agrees to perform
Yep.
such services?
After which, customer
That
agrees
should
to
be
pay.
con-
Yeah,
contract?
that needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like ourselves.
So,
No, it's
Thank
the
you.
contractor.
We get to pay them for it.
yeah,
So
we
we
have to
gotta
do
buy
it
some
and pay
shovels
for
too.
it. Yeah, so,
How many
All right.
times last year we had to pay them the salt?
pay them to salt?
Yeah, because that's not included
I
in
think
the
about 3 or 4, but I don't happen to know off the top, so.
Now, does the board have to approve this now?
No,
Okay,
we're not in the business of approving the contract, right, so,
okay,
um,
just curious.
But I think this idea of reviewing them through the lawyer is a good idea, and the insurance.
Yeah, but I'm
I agree with
surprised
that.
the
he's surprised I
lawyer,
didn't catch that
the
one.
lawyer didn't catch that one, because that
Yeah.
jumped out on me like hitting me in the head with a hammer.
Do our personnel also spread the
Yes.
calcium on the
Mhm.
walkways and stuff?
Yep, yep. Yeah, a lot of times you have to do that 10 times in the evening or something, you know, during a freezing rain.
If I
or-
recall, we upped that budget last year in the finance committee. That was part of the line increase for building
Yeah.
and
I
grounds.
think you're right.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's a good thing we did.
Because we were
Go
doing a lot
finance.
of it ourselves here,
Mhm.
you know, buying the supplies ourselves and our staff doing it rather than having them come in and do it. But I think for a lot of the major stuff, there were a few.
So the calcium we buy from the snow remover and our people put it down, or what?
I don't know where we buy it, Herb. I
Because it
assume
says
we-
additional calcium will be $1.
Yeah, no, that's
That's what they do,
if they
right?
do
That's what we
it.
do.
Yeah.
We also buy our own.
I think
so.
we buy it from Robinson Ace Hardware.
Oh.
Alright, let's, if you have additional questions, you can talk to Tim separately. We're not, I don't think we should spend our time, going through the contract line by line. But certainly if you have concerns, bring it up to
Yeah,
Tim.
no, that one was just a major one.
Yours was a
Sorry.
big one, yeah.
We're in a hurry.
Okay, so committee appointments. So can you pass that out? So Mike's resignation, and left some committees. I had to shuffle some stuff around. So now basically it's all the same. The only big difference is you will notice the design steering committee has always been an ad hoc committee with members of the staff and public attached to it. I don't recall us ever actually appointing those members. Maybe we did at one point. This officially puts them on to the record. So it's quite clear that they are non-voting members as according to our bylaw, but their expertise is beneficial. So I don't think you'll notice really any changes. But other than the big one being Jason, now you're chairing that committee. So yeah. So is there a motion to approve the committee assignments? Carried. Second by Phil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, adopted. Minutes of the regular business meeting, our last meeting. Anyone have any concerns?
Nope.
Any problems? All right, motion to approve these?
Nope.
Peter? Second by Jason. What's up?
Sorry, nothing, sorry.
Peter?
Well,
Wait,
Jason,
I wasn't
Jason has
here.
to
Ah.
abstain.
I'll do
That's
second.
just,
And
Seconded by Caitlin. Peter's got the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved? Or opposed? All right, none approved unanimously. With 3 abstentions.
Got it, thank you.
All right. Okay. Next is, executive session. So I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
Before that motion, I just wanted to say one thing about the foundation that I didn't get to say because I was out of the room. We had 3 fire drills tonight, and
There weren't
foundation.
drills.
I'm sorry, fire alarms. And Barry, you really need to move to New York and become an editor. But the foundation responded very well to all of them, but I just want to call out employee Beth Rienti because while they were standing out there in the parking lot, she was slated to give a presentation to the foundation, and she did that. And that's just an incredible use of time, volunteer foundation time and Beth's time to accomplish goals even though they're out in the parking lot. So that's cool. Yeah. That's it. That's the car.
Okay, motion to enter into I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the resignation of 2 employees.
Appointment.
Appointments, the appointment of 2 employees.
So moved.
Second. We'll do,
I've got Peter and
okay,
Herb.
Peter and Herb, good.
Peter first. Yes.